Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Let's talk about patience. Patience is a virtue that makes everything so much easier. I know, because I wasn't so much endued with that capacity to start with. I was a very impatient man. Once when I asked Amma, why is nothing happening? Something should happen. She said to me, you have to learn still many lessons of patience. That's not what I wanted to hear. Patience has two aspects. Patience that we learn to take things as they come. Even if we have an idea in our head that something should come, something should happen, that we have the patience then to wait until it is manifesting. It's nothing wrong having some object in mind, having an intent in which direction the life should go, having an intent about something that we would like to manifest. But it's good to have patience. If we don't have patience, everything becomes very difficult. There is always the tension. I want, it's not happening. It creates a lot of pain. If the patience is there, then we can have an intent and it doesn't disturb our peace. That intent is then like a stone in the water, it simply falls slowly down, sinks down to the ground until it reaches. But then there is another aspect to patience, that we learn to deal with circumstances right now that have nothing to do with what specific intent we have, where the life should go, what should happen in life, but simply dealing with the situation right now. It's so easy to lose patience. It's so easy to get irritated. It's so easy to get angry at people if they behave in ways that we don't like. We can't develop that patience, that we basically just accept the situation, that we basically are not in resistance. Even if somebody behaves in an unfavorable way, then we can deal with the situation so much more creatively and harmoniously. Sometimes things are offensive. Sometimes people are offensive. If immediately we build up a big wall, build up an argument, build up a strong emotions against that person, against the situation, against what is happening, then we are losing so much energy, which is simply there if we don't do that. Patience means in that aspect that we learn to accept the situation, to accept the people as they are, what they are doing. That doesn't mean we have to approve with everything that people are doing. Sometimes people do things that we need not somehow create some artificial idea in the head. No, it's good. And when we look out what is happening in the world, there is a lot of stuff that is not good. It's not that we have to, patience doesn't mean that we have to somehow accept it in the sense that we try to think it's something good, but that we learn to accept, okay, this is what is for the moment, the experience. The essence is not affected. Bring the attention back home to the essence. And then we can deal with the situation, with the people, with whatever is a bit pushing our buttons, whatever is trampling a little bit on our nerves, we can deal so much easier. Patience basically means the capacity not to be obsessed with our ideas how things should be, but are capable of rooting our experience in that aspect that is not affected, that is there all the time, whether the situation is favorable or unfavorable. That we can connect with that, relax in that. And then from that perspective, we still can do what we think is right to improve the situation. If it is possible, and if it is not possible, at least we can bring in a positive aspect. If we are impatient, if we react destructively, we just bring more negativity into the world, into the situation, make the situation worse. Patience is the capacity to relax in the self, to relax in the essence, to connect. And then things are coming, sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable, sometimes nice, sometimes ugly, sometimes to our liking, sometimes not to our liking. But if the patience is there, we just deal with the situation, bring in our beautiful living creativity in the situation. Deal with it and let it go. No matter how much resistance I had, that I don't want to be patient, I want to things happen now. Well, that just made it a bit more difficult, but I had to learn patience. And it's such a jewel. It makes everything so much easier. It helps us to develop that capacity to be aware of that unmovable aspect no matter what is happening. Vasishtha Maharshi says in his Yoga Vasishtha, those who really develop patience, they are sought after throughout the worlds. He praises that virtue in such a way. And especially right now, it's good to develop, at least to open up in that direction, to have patience. When we see what's going on, then we can lose the hope, we can lose the patience, we can despair. But if that patience is there, then we can accept, okay, this is a difficult phase humanity has to go through, but it opens up the possibility that something more harmonious, more beautiful can grow out of it. And if we patiently deal with it, then we are actually contributing that it can go smoother and faster. All right, I stop talking about this and asking you, my friends. Is there anybody who would like to say something? You're welcome to do so.
Hello.
Hello, Leela.
Thank you for reminding about patience. I'm rather confused, so I hope I can say what I want to say. I thought about what you said, the essence. Now I don't know any longer what the essence is, because I mean, it's not that I don't believe that there is, and but really everything is falling apart. I mean, really, it's such a mess, such a mess. It's like, it's okay, so it's the big mess, and it's also the emotions. Some people express through speech, through writing something, through drawing. Some people maybe don't admit or prefer to hide behind the lies of everyday life. Now I feel the amount of pain and sadness is unbearable. I can hardly breathe when I actually say it. So actually, I do have patience now. I have more patience even. In a different way. Because it's like to surrender. And I don't know about the essence. I don't know about the connecting. Because, you know, I used to know somehow. So many things I used to know. And I'm sure I also know now still, but the force that now helps me going is the surrendering. Can I say surrendering? Letting go. Right? And compassion. Yeah, compassion and generosity, softness. So no longer so much the thoughts. I do listen quite a lot to what is going on. Also because I want to be involved. I want to see the people that are suffering hell. I want to be with them somehow, so it's through the screen. Honestly, I don't have a question. Honestly, I want to say that now when I share it, it somehow doesn't feel so difficult. I can't share it with other people, of course, because it's language that people will not understand. When people talk about revenge, when people talk about killing all the Arabs, but all the Arabs, and ruining Gaza to the ground. People say that to me, and then I usually just listen to them. When they talk about revenge, I say maybe you want to rethink it, reconsider maybe changing the attitude. But that's all. One last thing is that, of course, I feel that nothing will be the way it was, both practically, economically, everyday life, but I don't know, spiritually and emotionally, conceptions, nothing will be the way it was.
You started out saying you don't know anymore what the essence is. Actually, that is totally true. You have never known, you don't know now, and you will not know in the future. You
I have
are.
to just close. Sorry, I have to close the door. Sorry. Yeah, because my dog was barking. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. We don't know the essence. You are the essence. That which makes it possible that you have been telling, all that you have been telling is the essence. We cannot say that we don't know it, but we cannot say that we know it, because you are that. It's the most intimate, the most familiar, that which is always first. At whatever we are experiencing, first is that sense of presence, what I call the sense of presence. But it's also just words indicating something that we are so totally aware of and overlook so easily, but it's always there. That's what I'm calling the essence. And then you say you don't know now about connecting, but you rather just surrender, and actually real surrender is really connecting with that essence. Is instead of putting my idea, what should be, should not be, on top, I accept things that are not under my control are happening in their own way. Surrendering to the fact, but not surrendering in despair, but surrendering just because of the awareness. I, as a manifested being, have certain possibilities with my little circle, but so much I just have absolutely no way of influencing directly. And then we can surrender to that, and actually in that way you do connect, and by connecting in that way you do actually influence the situation, because then it happens that you feel, when you surrender, you feel peace, and that peace is radiating and has an impact, even if it's not immediately visible in all that chaos that is happening. It helps other people to do it also easier. And of course, people who are totally into the story and completely pushed, actually, they are victims. They are being pushed in these destructive emotions by forces who want that destruction. And then they are not able to listen to any reasonable argument. But if you are capable of surrendering to the fact that it is as it is, then something radiates from you that is influencing them, and eventually it may be possible again for them to come to their senses and let go of that destruction, of that craziness, thinking the destruction is the way to change things to the good, which is total nonsense.
While listening to you, I feel some fear when you emphasize the act of surrender. I saw an image of a heavy stone rolling down the road and can't stop. It's like to surrender. It's like one good thing about it is faith. There's some element of faith there. Like trust the doctor. If she saw something in your eye second time and she said we have to go further to see what there is there, I say to myself, trust her. Don't be angry at her because she finds something that you don't like. Trust her. Then I feel better with myself. But in the big picture, there is nothing to trust. Like it's okay to trust the doctor. In the big picture, there are there is no one adult that is now responsible for what is happening, except from maybe what you described, my inner. It's not even my inner, it's this faith, this trust, this act of surrender. But I'm aware of it, but when you spoke about it, it made me very scared. Who will stop the stone? Like I'm rolling down the road somehow. Oh, I'm flying in the sky. Maybe that's better. Yeah.
Well, so you use that picture that you are the stone that is rolling down the road, or you see a stone.
Actually, now maybe it's I'm the stone.
Yeah. So then you can surrender to the fact that you are rolling, and maybe in that way you have the possibility to direct where it rolls.
Right. Yeah.
And if you are a bystander and see a stone rolling down, then at least you can accept that there is that stone rolling down, but you can get out of the way and maybe call others, be careful, a stone is coming down the road.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I listen to you, and actually I do believe you. I believe you, it's true. I feel the influence on other people. I feel that when I communicate and interact, there is something that attracts me to communicate with people who are waiting with me in the corridor of the doctor, and then we talk like we've been friends forever. And people say beautiful things, and small talks, but like it's happening. I need to hear this. It's true. It really gives me like a smile, and yeah. When I cry. When it's sad, it's sad. When I laugh, I laugh. When I smile, I smile. It's like there isn't much I can do.
Right. You can maybe not much do outside, but you can make sure that whatever is happening is not pulling you in a dark place, that you are contributing to the darkness, that you learn to accept and surrender, and in that way you're doing what I'm always talking, connect with that essence. And the more you connect with that essence, the more there is also the faith something actually is there, something that is everywhere, something that is at the base of the creation, and even such a painful period is not for nothing, that lessons can be learned, and there is the possibility that finally something good can grow out of it. As I have said it earlier, like it happens in the life, in the story of a seeker, one looks for truth, and then there are periods where everything goes harmoniously and beautifully, and we are at peace and feel, we are really making steps. And then there may be periods where everything is difficult and it feels like it's falling apart. But then if one doesn't throw in the towel, but still as good as possible connects, then that period also passes and one comes out of it that much stronger for the experience. That is what happens often in a life of a spiritual seeker. And a similar thing happens now for humanity as a whole. That there is a difficult period, and somehow we just have to go through it and not lose that faith that there is that essence, that divinity, unaffected by all this, and we can always connect. And eventually humanity will come out of this and regroup, and then come out that much the stronger and the wiser.
It's interesting listening to you now. I never liked practicing imagery when sometimes they do these meditations and they guide you through all kinds of images. You're going in the forest and you hear the water and whatever. And when you spoke now, I actually again had another image of myself, like being really light and a little bit like maybe walking on the clouds or something like that. When I draw, I probably really helps me when I use the colors and play with the colors and different pencils and different different things that I use here. I guess this is healing. I guess this can help me, because now I can hear how it somehow connected, how I could feel that it sounded so good to me, how you said what you said, and maybe I should use more imagery. Yeah.
Right. Shall we leave it at this for the time being?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hari Om. Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Is there anybody who would like to come in and say something?
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
What's the connection between center and relax and the in and out breath?
The first I didn't understand. You have quite an echo.
Yeah, maybe I try a different position. What is the connection between center and relax?
Yeah.
And in and out breath?
Oh, in and out breath helps a lot to center and relax. I mean, everybody is doing that all the time, unconsciously. In order to physically survive, that is happening day and night. Breath goes in, breath goes out, breath goes in, breath goes out. But usually people are not aware of it, and it's very shallow. It's often hardly can be called breathing, but rather gasping for air. And if we put the attention on that, this is happening now. So it brings you in that current of life in the present. And if at the same time we are consciously centering and relaxing, then these three aspects help each other to go really deeper in our resources.
The out breath is for me more connected with the relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's often felt like this, but if you do that more, then you become aware the in-breath, breathing in, can be equally relaxed like breathing out. When it's not more becoming, oh, I need air, but just the gentle flow, observing the gentle flow. Air is flowing in the body, air is flowing out of the body. And if we are doing that calmly and relaxed, then we become aware, actually, air is just an aspect. This rhythmic manifestation of the life force that breathe in and breathe out connects you with the life force. So consciously breathing is doing a lot more than just pumping air in and out of the lungs. Then you're connecting with the current of life. And consciously breathing helps us to become more subtle in our awareness. And the more you are aware of the energy, the more both the in-breath and the out-breath become very relaxed.
Can you explain that more with the connection to the life force, the breath?
Right. I mean, it's such an easy, perceptible manifestation of the life force. It's something that anybody can be aware of. We could also just try to do exercises to be subtly aware of the life force, but that's not so easy for everybody. Whereas this is something that is happening to every mammal at least. that breath is going on all the time, and it's a manifestation of the life force. Why would a baby take the first breath. Life wants to manifest itself. And once it's on the way, then this goes on and on and on. And of course, it's so normal, so habitual that we are not at all aware of it. But if we put the awareness, anyone can be aware of the breath. And by doing so, you bring the attention more back to that direct connection of life, of the prana, of that force that is moving everything in manifestation.
Right now, it feels, if I watch the breathing, it feels to me like it is, it's like a constant change. It's not so much, I get more like the aspect of, changing and variation is much more dominant than before.
Mm-hmm. Before you were just not aware of it. And actually just the very watching without controlling, the very watching, becoming aware of the breath, automatically one slowly starts to breathe deeper. If somebody breathes very unconscious, it has the tendency to be extremely shallow, superficial. And just without force, without pushing, just putting the attention to the breath, then it has the tendency naturally to be slow down a bit and to become more profound.
That's difficult for me because if I try to do it very subtly, my mind is very much involved. And if I just like relax and let it happen, then it's much more natural.
Yes. Then exactly. Be aware of the breathing and relax. And center in the present. And then the mind has nothing to do there. As soon as we get into the mind, actually we're slipping out of that centeredness. And if we become aware of it, we don't have to try to control the thoughts, control the mind, but just redirect the attention again to that simple fact that life is manifesting continuously in a body by breathing in, breathing out.
Is it more to put your attention on the feeling aspect?
Yes. First, it may be totally physical, just to become aware of the breath, somehow or other, feeling the air flowing in through the nostrils, feeling the rib cage moving, opening, closing. But then if we continue, the experience becomes subtler and you become more aware of the feelings that it creates. And if you continue, it becomes even more subtle and you become aware of the waves of energy that go throughout the body all the time, along with the breath. It happens automatically.
Can you explain the center part a little bit more? Is that possible to explain it?
Well, basically, it means to keep the attention in that spot, in that presence. But I often say to people, choose a spot in the body that where you feel most comfortable. It doesn't really matter where it is. There are these traditional places, the heart, the third eye, but you can center where you feel most easily centered, most comfortable. The center of the body, of course, is just a physical point, but it's a help for the mind to have something to hold on to. It becomes then if we center and relax, it becomes then like a gateway for the attention to come home. The more we use that we center and relax, that we breathe and center and relax, the more it becomes easy. Then even in a tense situation, when we remember, instead of trying to struggle with the situation, just to redirect the attention and consciously center and breathe and relax, and the whole mood of the experience starts to change, and we become more easy aware. In spite of all the action, there is also that silent aspect there all the time. So to center means to be in touch with that silent part, but we can, to start out, just take a point in the body, and then if we relax, it sinks automatically deeper. Sometimes people don't want to have a point in the body. Somehow it's not working with them at all, but then you can just feel the body as a whole, and in that center in that way.
Sometimes I assemble my energy just in front of me when I'm doing sitting meditation. Because this is like in a lot of the Buddhist texts, it said like collect or assemble your energy in front of the body. Is that okay too?
That's okay too. Yes, I mean, it's another technique, but it will bring you to the same, because it's not that all your energy is going out of the body. It's just a point to focus, like the point that I say, the point in the body where you are centering. It's just a point where you focus. It's not that reality is more there than somewhere else. And when you focus on a point in front of the body and connect energetically with that, basically it's the same. It's just slightly a different technique. It's a gateway then. It's a reference point for the mind. If we do such a thing regularly, then it becomes easier and easier to catch the attention in the mind when it's busy with something, and just redirect it to that point. And if we relax in that awareness of that point, then the attention automatically sinks deeper. Then it becomes magic to center, breathe, and relax.
I thought about the thing that you said on Tuesday, that I could equally do meditation in Germany than in the Ramana ashram. That is, it's also possible, but for me, the Ramana ashram feels very different.
Yes.
There's a very benign and like benevolent energy there that really helps me to like when I sit in there for the first time after like the 5 years. It's like I could see a little bit feel the vibration, and I could see like a little bit how my usual mode of functioning dropped away, and I could feel that the usual mode is much. There's some negativity in it, a lot of self-doubt and tension, and and the vibration feels so nice and pleasant that I thought, oh, I'm such a fool to do this to me all the time.
Right, right. Oh, I'm not saying that there are places where it's being made easier, but somehow we can most of the time not be in such a place all the time. So then charge your batteries, do it as good as you can in that place where you get all the help and support. But then when you go back after that in Germany, then you just connect with what you connect in the place where you are supported more energetically. And then suddenly you may experience the same thing even in Germany where you live.
Yes, sometimes I do, but it's much harder there because it's it's much more influenced by my self-doubts and the intentions, and it takes longer, or it's much more difficult to let that go and just relax.
Right. But then if we go into that situation where it's more difficult, with confidence that after all, the essence what I want to touch is the same, and not already with the idea it's not going to work so easily, then there you bring already another other atmosphere in the place. So then you can create more and more in your space where you are living an atmosphere like you are experiencing now in Ramanashram, something that when you come back home to that spot, that there is already something supporting you to make it easier.
Yeah, hopefully that works.
Right. It does work more or less. But if you have the place where you live and meditate, it's anyhow happening. But if you are conscious about it, you can give a bit more emphasis on it, that instead of being rather disappointed that this place is not so supportive for meditation, bring in the attitude, okay, I'm creating my own ashram here in my own little flat where I'm living, creating that atmosphere that is supportive more and more and more.
Yeah, I have to try that.
You stay another 2 weeks, huh?
2.5.
Yeah. So
Every month.
you charge your batteries and prepare yourself not with anxious feelings that for going back, but with courage. Okay, I'm ready. I'm coming home. I'll deal with the situation.
Okay.
Okay. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Would anybody else like to come in? I think before Nelly came. Do you want to come, Nelly? Ah, there you are. Hello, Nelly.
Yes, hello, Werner. This subject that you talked about patience is it resonates me. That's what I learn, to be patient, to trust, to surrender. Yes, because sometimes I have doubts about my practicing, how I do it, and so on. Yes. And last week when I talked with you on online Satsang, I said you about my I had some anxiety and yes, again about the situation. And after Satsang, I went to Ramanashram and began walking around Samadhi, and I still had this thoughts in my head, and I was walking very slow and breathing, and tried to put attention to my breath. And then I appealed to God and said, what do you think? Should I do? What should I do? Is it okay, or I should change something, say something else, or please lead me, or help me not to think of or don't break my head about that. And then an answer came that don't worry, no, you don't have to do anything. And then I was breathing, and I got some awareness that this is my connection with God. This breathing is like connection, like something physical, because I thought that as far as I live, as far as God wants me to live in this body, and I have this breathing. And when he doesn't want it, it stops. And as far I have this breathing, so this is like God breathing inside me. And it helped me to feel this connection with God, so that He is with me 24 hours. And I don't need to worry about anything, that He can lead me. Anytime I can ask Him what to do, how to deal with situations. And I felt so relaxed and felt calmness inside, that really I don't need to worry. And it was so like a present for me, like I got some secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like some present and glimpse from existence. And I have been with it for these days, for this week. When I go to sleep, I listen to my breath and remember that God is with me. And when I wake up, I again follow my breath and put my hands on the stomach and on my heart and breathe and feel this connection, and it helps me so much. Some days I felt it weak. I felt a lot of tensions again in my body and a lot of thoughts. But in spite of that, I remembered that, but I have a secret anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, like a sun that I can't see it every day, and it may be hidden in clouds, but I know that it is. And yes, it really helps me in spite of some difficulties, in spite of some doubts that want to come.
Yes.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. I didn't, this time I felt it so clear. And for really for some days I feel this. Yeah, I don't know how it will be later, but still at least I have this experience, and I'm grateful for that.
Yes, wonderful. And when you are again in doubt and lose it, then you remember that experience, and that helps you again to, it's a wonderful attitude that you are developing here, that God is breathing in your body.
Yeah.
In the Genesis, in the Bible, there is first the Genesis, the whole creation, but then there is a second story of creation, and basically it goes a bit like this, that God forms the human being out of earth and then breathes the life into that body. So that's basically what you're saying, that you're becoming aware that actually it's that divinity breathing in you. It's that life force. Even if we don't give attention, it simply goes on and on and on. Otherwise, that life in this manifestation stops. And if we are aware of it, that this is connected with that divinity, it's really a wonderful channel to just connect with that essential divinity that is always there.
Yeah. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. It is not the only way to connect, but it's a very efficient and easy way It doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes when I talk about breath and I feel a person has a resistance and feels, oh, no, doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But if there is a resonance, it's so easy to connect with the source by simply breathing consciously. And then if we consciously on top of that relax, that help, that gateway becomes stronger and stronger. Hello Vikas, I see you are coming in. Hello.
So taking this topic forward, the thing is like presently my work requires me to do a lot of tying up. I need to answer many questions, and over a period of time towards evening, there are so many questions and answers that I start gasping for breathe.
Yeah.
Like there was like previously it was all relaxed. There were two people doing the same work, not many people to be answered. Now there is only one person, myself. Now there are so many answers, questions to be answered, and I have to run around and answer, report to my higher ups. Then it becomes like by end of the day, I'm actually gasping for breathe. And by the time I reach my home, it's like, uh, so where, how, you don't have time to think about your breathe then.
Mm.
And the actually I can see that my breathe is becoming shallow. If I sit down for my prayers, I just sleep off.
Mm.
So it practically it becomes very difficult to get centered when there are so many things running around and people are questioning, phones are ringing, then it becomes very stressful.
Yes, sure. Now, in the morning before you go for work, you do your practice, huh?
Yeah, I try to do at least one or two mala. I do because
Yes.
I don't have. I do it.
Right. And then when you go for work, then go with the intention that in spite of the busy day, that you want to remember to connect. And then when you connect, when you remember, then don't think, oh, I'm too busy now. Then at that moment, at least that moment when you remember, just breathe a few times as deep and as relaxed as you can. Your efficiency is not going to get less. If you make little stops like this and breathe and relax, actually you rather become more efficient than less efficient. But if in the mind then think, I don't have time, then of course, then we are getting more and more into attention. So try to make these little stops in between. And then sometimes it may start to happen that even when you're busy, when you're writing, when you're phoning, when you're walking to find things out, that you become aware, oh, I can also then at the same time breathe. Because then many times, sometimes you have to focus very strongly on something, and then your whole focus is there, but that's not the problem, because then you are also in the present. But then there are so many gaps where we are busy, but we don't need to focus so much. You go from one place to another, and there, instead of going in the mind, then remember that you breathe while you are walking. That there you can not think, oh, I have no time to breathe, but there you are walking from one place to another and you breathe. And when you sit on your desk and the phone rings and you take the phone and talk and you put the phone down, and then take a moment, if you remember, and just breathe a few times consciously and relax as good as you can. If you do that consequently every time you remember, then gradually that memory comes back more, and gradually it will become again easier. Now we are stressed in the situation because suddenly I have a much greater workload than before. But then if in that stress you learn to have those little breaks where you are again more consciously touching that essence, where you are more consciously relaxing, then you learn to deal with that increased workload with getting stressed less and less by it.
I've also heard that all the evolved men, they have much more energy and they can work for long. Is it possible to reach that stage, or it is?
Of course, if we let's throw away our energy by being stressed, then you have much more energy to creatively manifest. And you may work longer hours, but you may not decide not to work longer hours, but be more and more relaxed. And actually people think when they are not really observing what's happening, in order to be efficient, you have to be in tension, you have to be in a stress, you have to struggle. But actually, there we are throwing away so much energy. It's more the opposite. The more you can, in spite of the work, learn to relax, the more powerful your presence becomes and your work is getting more efficient. And if it's necessary, sometimes you are also capable to work longer hours without getting as much depleted by it. It's the stress, it's the strain that is mainly throwing the energy away and makes us tired.
Okay. Thank you, Werner.
Try and try again. All right. Wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come? Welcome to come in. It's often that people think, okay, but if you want to have a chance to spiritually get somewhere, you have to be somehow an ascetic or live in an ashram. How could it be possible in a stressful day-to-day life? But that unmoving aspect is always there. It's very helpful then, especially also in such a situation, that we don't give up practicing completely. We may increase the time of practice when we have more time and feel more inspired to do so, and we can decrease it when we have less time and feel less inspired, but try not to completely give it up. To have every day at least some time where one is not busy, and as good as possible, be in the present, connect and relax in that. And of course, the tendency is then when there is a busy schedule that the mind also then, when one sits down and doesn't want to be busy, that the mind still goes after the things of a stressful day that has happened, that may happen now after that, after my practice. But then when one becomes aware of that, then we can come back again. And even if that meditation, that practice is not very quiet, if the mind is starting again and again, it's not useless. It's not for nothing, because there is no other situation where we become so acutely aware what is really going on in the mind, like when we want to be quiet, when we try to be quiet, and then in spite of that, the mind still goes on. There we see how it works, and seeing how it works, we can learn easier to detach from it. And then we can go into a day full of activities with that intent. I want to remember to connect. That silent part is always there. It's not that it's absent in a stressful day. It's still there. We are not aware of it when the attention is so much absorbed in so many things. And as I said just to Vikas, sometimes the full attention has to be given, focused very strongly. That's fine. We don't have to do some about that moment something. But also in a stressful life, in a stressful job, those moments where the full attention is needed, they are actually limited. They are most of the time not so much. And then one is relaxing a little bit, and instead of being conscious and relaxing, then the tendency is that the attention goes all over the place. And there we can, when we become aware and when we remember to look for that, at that moment, in the midst of the action, just turn the attention 180 degrees, bring it back to that which makes the experience possible, here, now. It helps if we make a little break, like I said to Vikas, okay, stop for a moment, just breathe for a moment. But we can also, in the midst of the action, then with that remembrance, just bring the attention back instead of going with the mind all over the place, what has happened, what's going to happen, what may happen, whether they are satisfied with my work, am I going to be successful? Not indulge in all that stuff, but just redirect the attention to be here. Breathe consciously, relax. And even if we are only staying a few seconds in that conscious connection, those few seconds are very precious. And if we are doing it again and again and again, then the power of that is slowly increasing, that it becomes gradually more and more powerful, and eventually it's more powerful than the power of the habit that has the tendency to pull the attention all the time, all over the place. Nothing wrong with doing our work with keen attention, because at that moment we are also here, now, consciously alive. The attention may not be aware of being conscious, but at least when we focus on something strongly in our work, then the attention is not roaming around in the past and think what has happened, then we are not roaming in the possible future that could come, but we are here now and very concentrated in something that we are doing, and in that way we are also connecting with life directly without even thinking that we are doing that. So a so-called normal life, a busy life, is not an obstacle, but it needs that sincerity, that we go about it trying again and again, actually doing it, connecting, even for moments, then relaxing that. If we do that, then in spite of activities, it's normal, it's automatic that we become more relaxed about it. And in that greater sense of relaxation, it's also again easier to consciously connect. So it's the opposite of a vicious circle where aspects pulling the attention more and more into something dark. It's like a light circle. if we do that, if we live our busy life with the intent, I want to remember, and then have those little moments where we simply withdraw the attention and relax, for example, by consciously breathing. Breathe and relax. And then bring that attitude as good as we can into the activity. Then the activity becomes more powerful because we are more powerful connected with the essence. The activity becomes more efficient. Sometimes we may make blunders. Okay, then we learn from the blunder and go ahead. But it's not that we are in any way losing our capacity to be efficient on this material plane if we start to bring the attention back of being conscious of being alive. In contrary, the more we connect that source of creativity and energy, the more easily it starts to express itself in external actions. If one has the inclination to be a sannyasi, to be a yogi, to live in an ashram, to live as an ascetic somewhere, perfectly fine, if that is possible. But if that is not clearly not the path, at least not for this time and for the foreseeable future, then it's not a reason to think it is not possible to grow spiritually. It's always possible in any circumstances. Nisargadatta was never an ascetic. For a short time, after a great shift, he walked towards the Himalayas, but eventually he gave up the idea, becoming aware doesn't matter, and he came back, walked back to Bombay, and continued his family life there. And before that, during his intense sadhana period, he was doing his family business. He had children to bring up. He had to look after his family, earn his money. And he learned that in spite of that, he didn't focus on the breath, but he focused on the sense, I am. When he was sitting quietly, he was often thinking of his guru, remembering his guru's advice. But in his activity, he was holding on to that sense of I am. It's another way of connecting. Breathing consciously is one way. Holding on to that sense I am is another way. That was what he was doing. When he was in his family, when he was manufacturing beads, when he was making his beads, when he was sitting in his shop selling his beads, I am, I am, I am. And the family life sometimes is stressful. I don't know how many, but he had a bunch of children. So this gives invariably a lot of activity. But he kept on doing his duties as a householder and staying with that sense of I am. And then when he had spare time, he would silently sit in his little room that later became the Satsang room, where people used to come and see him, and doing the same, being aware of that sense of presence, either by continuing holding on to that sense I am, or just remembering his guru, his advice, and connecting in this way. He's a wonderful example that a man who is living an ordinary life in a family with all the difficulties and problems that rise in such a situation is capable of connecting strongly because he was motivated. He was so curious. He was a very active and efficient man. When he came from his village to Bombay, he had nothing, but then he built up his business. And then once this was a bit established, his curiosity was not satisfied. He wanted to know more. What is this all about? And with that, in that space, he met his guru, who started to give him advice. And he just had that faith in him, that his guru is not telling him stories. What could he benefit? So he believed with full faith in his guru, but that curiosity was there. I want to verify that with my own experience. And that motivation was there. And then even living a normal, busy family life was not disturbing him. And going his path as straight and as intensely as he could. Not everybody is endowed with such a determination like Nisargadatta had, but everybody can, wherever we stand, do what I said to Vikas. Remember. Go into your day with that intent that you want to remember. And every time we remember at that moment, we don't postpone it. We don't lament about all the time that has passed without being conscious. Just when the memory comes at that moment, one connects and learns to relax in it. And if we do that consequently, there builds up a power that gradually helps us to detach from all the obstacles from being in our natural self. And that in spite of somebody living in the midst of the busyness of the society. Both is okay. What is the natural path, how to live the life for somebody, that is the right one. The one who is inclined to go for asceticism shouldn't live a family life, because then he will feel all the time I'm missing, I'm wasting my time. But the one who is naturally more in connection with people, live in a family, live in the society, doing the things that need to be done, should not try to become an ascetic. Then there will be just frustration and frustration. Even for a family person, it's good sometimes if that inclination is there to do a retreat, to step a few days out, to fully focus, or to come to Tiruvannamalai, to go to a place where one is not busy with the usual affairs, where one can put the undivided attention in simply being alive, consciously conscious. And then go back in the usual society life with the awareness that what I'm looking for is not somewhere. It's here, it's now, whatever I do, wherever I am. Is there anybody else? Who would like to come in and say something? You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to ask about spirituality. While you were talking, I was thinking how many people they want to be spiritual, or they think they're spiritual, or they say they're spiritual, or they say to somebody else, you are spiritual. And now the way you described it, what is it actually to be spiritual? Maybe all we want is just to be, yeah, happy and live a sincere life, interesting life, and be good with each other. And yeah, people say to me very often, oh yeah, you are spiritual. So like they go like, then we can't really talk to you.
Right.
but what is it to be spiritual actually?
Yes, of course.
And why
You're
is
right.
there such a fuss about it?
Yes, people make a fuss about it and distinguish between worldly and spiritual, and there is that distinction is wrong. At least the way I use the word when I say a spiritual seeker, is on the spiritual path, then I mean somebody who really wants to connect with truth. And this can, but often it's used then in society in common parlance that you live either a worldly life or a spiritual life. And then the spiritual life means you have to do all the necessary rituals for that and follow the necessary rules for that. And that's not what I'm talking about when I say spiritual. When I say spiritual, then I mean somebody authentic, who is sincere, who is honest, and who wants to connect with the essence, with the truth. And then you can live your normal external life happily, sure.
Yeah.
Spiritual doesn't mean
Right.
spiritual doesn't mean to make a show. I'm a spiritual person. Spiritual means to be authentic, to be sincere in our aspiration to be in touch, to be in harmony with what is, and express that inner beauty more naturally, easier and easier.
Yeah, because I'm spiritual, it doesn't mean that they have to do so and so. Or because I'm not spiritual, it doesn't mean that they don't do so and so do. It's like such a mistake in the mind, in the society.
Yeah, it's like that's the whole society functions like this. That's the mind's functions like this because we were brought up like this, that we put everything into the drawers. That is that is that, and that is, for me, spirituality is not another drawer,
No.
but means to be sincerely, honestly connecting as good as one can.
Right. Okay.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. I see Nava coming in. Hello. You are muted. I can't hear you.
There we go. Now?
Now I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. I want to know how important the teacher is. I don't have a guru because there are no gurus here. And the teachers, some of them seem to be more, I don't even know what word to use, and some of them are less. And To me, it feels like it limits what, how can I put it? When I'm with somebody who seems to be more whatever, it has an effect on me.
Yes.
Okay, it's like you resonate with someone who is, and when they're teachers who know things, it's very different. So, can you say something about that?
Great. Your ultimate teacher is your own self. And the external teachers, their job should be to put your attention in the right direction, that you find what you're looking for in yourself. And those who are more in tune with reality will have more that effect for you, and you resonating more with them. And those who are less in tune with them, you may not feel like too much attracted. Now, just connect with that ultimate teacher that is there. Connect with your own essence. And then on the path, you will meet teachers. And if you feel attracted, if you resonate, then open your heart and let that situation help you and direct you as good as it can. For some time you may connect, and then you may feel, okay, you rather move on. Sometimes some people do have a very strong connection to one teacher, and somehow they are not more looking for teachings everywhere, but you cannot artificially produce that. If that has to happen, it happens. So you don't have to go out and look whether there is a teacher that is going to be your teacher for life. The teacher who guides you all the way home, but just be sincerely connected with the essence, with that ultimate teacher that is yourself, and then the external things will manifest as they are needed. And you may have a line of teachers, and from each one you may pick up something and may move on, and each one becomes, for a time being, at least an expression of that ultimate teacher, an expression that makes it a bit easier for you to connect with what is already in you than if you were by yourself. But then listen to your heart. And if teachers somehow don't resonate with you, and you feel you don't give that feeling, you don't have that feeling that there is some strong connection, then you just never mind. Then you don't have to go to them. And even if others come and tell, this is such a fantastic teacher and I'm having a great experience there, but you don't resonate with that, then you can listen to what you feel.
There's, how can I put it? With some teachers, you feel that their connection to themselves is much stronger. That's really what I wonder about sometimes, because I don't know if that's limiting when you're with a teacher who isn't.
Well, you don't have to sort of starting judgment over them and put a category and make a hierarchy and who is how much connected. But if you in your heart, without rationalizing it, feel you are not resonating with a teacher, then you can just accept, okay, it's not my cup of tea. I don't have to judge him, but let him be as connected or not connected as he is. But obviously it's not my call that I'm going there, that I'm going to get teachings there, and then you can rely on your own feeling more and more, and not what people tell you. It's not that you have to now, when you meet a teacher, start to brood how much is he really connected. You just connect with the teacher and open. And if you feel in that connection, it is really connecting to something deeper, then you are in the right place. And if you feel, no, this is not happening and feel rather uneasy, then you have the right to say, yes, thank you very much, and move on. And you don't have to wonder how much is he connected or not connected. You just know it's not for you.
Just the last thing, it's not so much thinking about how much they are, it's feeling how much they are.
Yes, and then you
Right.
follow your feeling. Yes.
Yeah, it's feeling that when you're with them, that it helps you connect with something inside of you. It makes it easier when you're
Right. And
right.
if
Mhm.
that is happening, then at least for the time being, you are in the right place. Right. Shall we
Thank
leave it
you.
at that? Yes.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Hario.
How are
Hario.
you?
All right, my friends. Let's conclude the satsang with this for today. Let's connect everyone with that ultimate teacher who is always with us. And if somebody has the good luck of having an external teacher that accompanies us on the whole journey, then this is happening by itself. And otherwise, connect with that ultimate teacher, one's own self, and then we are getting teachings in all the situations. And we may be connecting with a teacher for some time, and then we move on. And then we're connecting with another teacher for some time, and each one becomes temporarily an expression of that which is already in us. What depends is our own sincerity, our own honesty, whether we really want truth. Like what Leela pointed out, are we really spiritual, or do we just want to play spiritual as another sort of hobby, another attraction in our life? Let's really be spiritual, meaning to connect with the essence and live the life like this. And then more and more, the whole world becomes a teacher all the time. Hario, Hario, Hario.